Look, there's no easy way of telling you this, so I'm just going to come straight out with it. Yeah, I'm going to have to work with someone else because we've worked together for ages, but I'm sorry, Polly, I'm going to have to work with a proper model. And that's going to happen at some point. You can't practice forever. You need to work with real people, and working with an experienced model is the quickest way to improve your photography. It can also be really intimidating. So in this video, I'm going to take you through some basic steps of what it's like to work with a proper model for the first time. So let's get some light set, let's get a real model in, and let's get shooting. We'll work together again, I promise. Let's get something in the diary. So to help me out today, I've got the amazing Cara. Cara's going to be the model for this photo session, and although I have worked with 1 or 2 models in the past, I've never worked with Cara before today, so this is kind of the nearest I can get to reproducing the same scenario. Now, before you get going with your photo session, before your model arrives, there are a few things you should be doing. For example, think about where you want to go. If you haven't got a plan at the beginning, you're going to struggle from the very start. Keep your idea simple. So I'm going to start with a simple 1 or 2 light setup, and most importantly, share it with your model, ideally before they get here. And don't worry, they've probably done this before. Try and remember the absolute basics and start there. So the first thing I want to do is get control of this room light. I've got a shutter speed of 250th of a second, my flash sync speed. I'm going to go with an aperture of f4, and my ISO is 100. And if I take a picture without any flash firing, I get this. No flash, no picture. I've got control of the room lights. So the next thing to do is to get the exposure for the flash right. Now, I like to use a flash meter. It slows me down, it gives me thinking time, and that can be really useful when you're working with a model for the very first time. So I've set my flash to match my camera. Let's just take a test photo. Let's get something on the screen, make sure this all works. And yeah, there we go. We have a picture on the screen. It's a great confidence booster to actually see something working correctly. And if I go in and have a look at a close-up, I've even got this in focus. I've got the 2 basics right. You're probably going to be best starting with a single flash and doing some pictures like that, but I'm going to add in a second flash because, let's face it, it's going to be more interesting with 2 flashes photographically, but 2 is the maximum I'm going to use on this session. It's the first time I've ever worked with a model. I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I am going to make sure I still get the fundamentals right, because it's easy to forget things like making sure that your second flash is in the same channel, but on a different group. So this is on group B. Is also a different flash. So I've got the Flashpoint Explore 300 at the top and the Evolve 200 at the bottom. When you're working with multiple flashes, remember the basics. Switch off one light and just look at one light at a time. So let's just have a look at this background light. I'm going to put it low, maybe 1/64th power. I've no idea if that's the right look, but let's see what we get. Okay, Cara, here we go. And by doing this, I can see that I've got the light just slightly off center. That means I can just reposition it, take that picture again, and now it's back on center. And it's little things like that you can quickly overlook in the heat and excitement of working with a model for the first time. Slow yourself down, double check everything. Turn the key light back on again, and the 2 lights together look like this. So this is working really well, so I think we should do a few more photos like this. So Cara, away we go. Because Cara is an experienced model, she comes with a range of poses, which if you're starting out as a photographer, is really going to pay off. Once you've got the basic setup done, the temptation is just to keep going with the same pictures, but sometimes you can just add a little bit to create a new set of pictures. So I've given Cara a ruff, effectively. It's just a bit of fabric around her neck, and that just gives her something to interact with, but also a different look to the same pictures. So let's take a few photos like this and see how it looks. Cara, are you ready? Okay, here we go. This length of white feathered ribbon looks amazing. So here are 5 quick tips on how to get the most from your first ever model session. And let's start with number 1. Play some music during your session, but not just any music. Play music that your model is going to enjoy, because then you'll both have a much better session. Not this music, this is royalty-free music. Better music. Tip number 2 is to move your feet, because I've set this whole setup for this direction and they're great pictures, but maybe if I just move around a little bit, I'll get a different look. With the light coming from a different position, I get some great photos just by moving my feet. Tip number 3 is to leave yourself little notes hidden around the place as memory jogs. Maybe you attach it to the back of a light stand or the back of a softbox. My secret hiding place? Inside my camera. Notes about model's name, ideas for the photo session, whatever it needs to be, you can hide them away right there. And if you want to know how I did that, leave me a little question down below. Tip number 4 is to keep talking. Silence is not a good way to run a photo session. For example, do something like this. That's great, fantastic, really good, amazing. Positive communication will help your photo session go much smoother. And tip 5 is to show your model what you're doing. So I can show Cara on the back of my camera, that's what we're doing. It helps them to understand what bits are in the shot and which bits aren't in the photos. And if you can, consider tethering. And if you want to find out more about tethering, we've got videos about that subject right here on Adorama TV. So for my second look with Cara, I thought I'd do something completely different, because if you're going to be working with a model for the first time, you don't want to get a whole bunch of pictures that look basically the same. So this is a lot darker and moodier. And it's an idea that I've seen somewhere else. Someone on the internet, maybe somebody on YouTube, maybe somebody on Adorama TV made a video doing this exact setup. And it is perfectly okay to be inspired by other photographers' work. However, my advice is to use that as a starting point and then build from there. So that's exactly what I've done. I've built up this lighting setup just like I saw it on the internet, although using softboxes that I actually had to hand. I've already metered this out. Let's just take a test photo, see how it looks. Okay, Cara, here we go. And it looks exactly like the bloke on the internet did. It's fantastic, I love it. Let's take a few photos like this. Okay, here we go. At some point, you're going to run out of ideas of your basic setup, and that's where the panic can really set in. However, one of the many advantages of working with an experienced model is they've done this before, and they've probably got better ideas than you've got because they've done it before. So ask your model for some suggestions. Cara, any suggestions on how to make this better?
Possibly some props, some futuristic sunglasses, something that I can play with your hands.
I'll see what I can find. Yeah. And then sometimes right in the middle of a session, you find an idea can just come to you. And that's the best thing of working with an experienced model. They can get on with the modeling side of things, leaving you to think about all of the camera and lighting side of things. In this case, I thought, why not just add some gels? So I've added a gel. Before I use them, what color do you think I might have used for the gel? Stick it in the comments down below. Right, Cara, are you ready? Okay, here we go. Oh, one last thing. If you're using gels, remember to adjust your exposure. Before I took a single photo, I had a cup of tea and a chat with Cara, which is always a good idea. And I mentioned I'd got a new smoke machine, and right at the end of the session, Cara remembered that and said, why don't you have a go with the Smoke Ninja? And I'm so glad she did. And if you haven't figured it out already, the colors were blue and purple. And if you want to change the color of these, you can actually do a little bit of color adjustment in post-processing, but that is for another video. One last tip, and that is, it's really good fun working with a proper model, but watch the time. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, or you've got any questions about what you've seen, leave me a comment down below. Click on the bell icon whilst you're there and you'll never miss a video right here in Adorama TV. Give it a thumbs up. Check out the gear links. They're all listed down there as well. And of course, click on that subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching. Right, let's go apologise to Polly.